Okay, we're probably going to hear that.
Hey you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friends are going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. I hope you're having a fabulous day. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. You're watching Creator Spotlight, and we have an incredible guest for you today. But as always, RW, how's it going, bud?
Hey, guys. How are you? Welcome to the Dorkening.
Welcome. Philip.
How's it going? Recovering from COVID, 3 days now, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm here because we have a great guest tonight.
We do. So glad you're doing better, my friend. Would you like to introduce today's guest?
Yes. Our guest today is a famous animator who's done so many movies and video games. He's part of my childhood from my teenage years all the way to my 20s. And his name is Philo Barnhart, and I guess he already introduced himself.
Hello.
Hey, Philo.
Everybody cheer. Hello, all my favorite Dorkening fellow people.
I know. With all the different shows on the network, I think this is like the third or fourth time we've chatted, and always with different hosts. We have the most awesome Philip and RW here to talk your praises. Welcome back, Philo.
Thank you. The Dorkening is going to take over the world.
Gonna try.
I want to make a porno film called The Big Dorkening. Oh dear. That's Charles in the Peanut Gallery.
And for everybody listening or watching, that's Charles D Moisant, which runs Silver Phoenix, and I have all the information in the show notes up above or down below for everybody there, so definitely go check them out. KR Tooley says, what up? Hey, KR, how's it going? A bunch of people watching, so if you have questions, put them in the chat and I'll get to them as best as I can. But just so you know, you are watching I would say animation royalty, because you've worked on some amazing stuff. I mean, Little Mermaid, the Smurfs, Star Trek the Motion Picture, Dragon's Lair.
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh,
yes, I see that Philip is all decked out in our regalia there. our cartoon royalty, Princess Daphne.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Princess Daphne right here, who Dirk the Daring saves. And here's Dirk right there. And we've seen a lot of your I've seen pretty much your entire IMDb at theaters or played the video games. So I've seen pretty much every film that you've worked on at theaters. The Little Mermaid, American Tail, The Black Cauldron, Beauty and the Beast, and then, of course, Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. And my very first book, one of my very first real books I read was The Secret of NIMH, and I saw that film as well.
T. O'Brien. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah. I actually wrote to him, but it was after he had passed, unfortunately. But we wanted. Yeah, I know. So, what have you been up to lately? Are you retired? Are you still really working? What's going on in your life?
For the most part, I started retirement a little early because I'm still 64, but this is the year when I pour on the steam to finish that. But in the meantime, I'm keeping busy with Charles, and we're starting shows again. We're going to our first convention the end of this week.
Chatacon in Chattanooga at the Train Hotel.
Yeah, you remember the Chattanooga Choo Choo from the song fame? The 1940s, I believe. Well, that's the real train is there. That's the actual station. Yeah, and we may actually stay in one of the cars too, like we did the first time we went to Chatacon. So
yeah, I heard that's
a movie with George Kennedy.
Yeah, it's a real
train. That's right. Yeah. No, I heard that's a great convention. So hopefully it'll be good now with the COVID problems. But I'm sure you'll enjoy it. My brother lives just outside of Chattanooga, so I've been there a number of times.
And just real quick, Benjamin said, that's a whole bunch of sexy up there. Thanks, Benjamin, from Still Token Wood. And I also put a link in the comments for Chatacon, so anybody in the area want to check it out. So KR Tooley says it's going to be good. Hope it's all good going with everybody else. God bless. Thank you, KR Tooley.
Oh, and February, we're going to be in Kingsland, Georgia, during the Week of Romance weekend at a mini convention at the with the Star Trek people. Tell them about that, Philo.
All right. The neutral zone. They generally have fan appreciation days every month, like early in the month. And Vic Mignogna, who was the leader of Star Trek Continues, has become a good friend of ours, and he flies out there from Texas to tour people through the Star Trek original series sets that they recreated in Kingsland, Georgia, and it's just phenomenal.
You feel like you're on the real Starship Enterprise. Cousin Ed.
Charles and I have been to two set recreations now. The one in Ticonderoga, New York, which is beautiful, and it's more like a museum piece. But the one in Kingsland is more like a real working studio, because that's pretty much what it's been for some time.
You can shoot space porno.
We just spoke to Vic Mignogna, who worked on the Star Trek Continues, and he talked about it as well. And that must be awesome, being able to just like walk onto the original Enterprise.
Oh, you've suddenly got into slow motion.
Yeah, I'd love to go down to the neutral zone and be an extra, or an actor on one of their shows.
Jeff says, "What up, guys?" Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Right, it's Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That was my very first movie.
What did you work on that?
I did lots of electrical discharges of all kinds, mostly generated from V'ger. If anyone's seen the movie, the V'ger is the entity that's quite massive, that's headed for Earth, and it's able to digitize things and store them as data storage within itself. And of course, everyone dies and it's turned into storage. So they're trying to stop it before it gets to Earth, but it's right up to the end, right up to the wire there. So I won't tell you in case you haven't seen it. But there's a brilliant director's cut that they did when Mr. Wise was at the end of his days, and I'm just very grateful he got to finally get the movie that he intended to make initially. But because of their insane schedule to get it into the theaters in 1979, we just did what we could, and it's still pretty remarkable what we were able to get done. But it wasn't quite the film that it should have been, and this new version is the one that I show people the most, and they're delighted with it, actually. So we also did a lot of cloud layers and things like that too, which basically static art, and the way we manipulated them was under the camera in animation. So in multiple passes, which means you backwind the film that's in the camera, and you just keep shooting it over and over again, sometimes at different percentages for lighting the artwork.
I think I might have been 9th or 10th grade. I can't remember where it was in 79. I think it might have been maybe
in the backseat of the car.
Yeah. No, I think it might have been 9th grade, but I just remember every comic book and every magazine had the full page Star Trek: The Motion Picture ad, and they had they had the one with the Enterprise and then the little boxes with all the actors in it, and then they had the rainbow one, with Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, I think, you couldn't open a magazine or a comic book without seeing one of those two ads.
Right. I actually have a British poster too that a lot of people in this country haven't seen before, but I was able to get a hold of it. It's like a watercolor painting of portraits together, and it has the floor of the Starfleet, base the emblem in the middle. So.
Nice.
It's just amazing to think of films where used animation along with the actual live motion film to create special effects. That's just incredible.
That's all we had available. CG didn't really get started until 1989, a decade later. So we used everything we could, including the kitchen sink, as it were. Tried all kinds of things. We spun things in front of a still camera to make fluffy shapes. And ultimately, we ended up using a wire hanger bent into different shapes, spun on a string, and we had Virgil Morano come in. He was our staff photographer, and do a stroboscopic, boy, there's a word for you, photograph of the wire as it was spinning, and it created this little, fluffy cloud swirl. So we took a lot of those, and then we rephotographed them under the camera, and that's how we were able to get the opening shot with that kind of hula hoop cloud. You see the Klingons approaching.
Around Uranus.
Oh my God.
Just asking, how's everybody doing? Hey, Jeff, great to see you.
Tell them about having fun with Uranus.
Jesus.
We stopped.
He's not going to give up that one.
Yeah, there's a place called Uranus in Missouri, and it's a hoot. Their billboard said, "Come explore Uranus," and so we said, "Okay, well that's it. We have to stop." So we pulled off. There was a sideshow museum which we had a blast in. The lady that took us through and then ultimately showed us the sword swallowing demonstration. Her name is Kat, and she's covered with tattoos, and she was so cool. She was wonderful. After visiting with Kat, we went over to the fudge factory.
In Uranus.
And the sign on the door says "Enter Uranus." So we just had the best time.
I went through there once and I could not find a place to park out front, so I had to park in the rear.
Oh, very good. Very good. That's the spirit.
Oh,
geez, what the hell?
Leo, what's going on there?
Oh, the show's gone to the shitter.
I was going to add all those things you thought were video screens in Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Yep.
Those are all little films that we made, and they're projected into the back of the set. Wherever there happens to be a screen, reprojection screens all over the set. Because we didn't even have real computer monitors yet, like what we're doing right now. We just didn't have that. We certainly didn't have it in our homes. And I remember using an ancient beige-colored computer when I was in school, but they were pretty Stone Age compared to what we have now. But yeah, we had to make all the little films. So did them under the animation camera, right on just manipulated little shapes and things, right on the camera plan. So a lot of people to this day think, "Oh, wow, look at all the digital readouts and stuff." Nope, hand animated.
Yeah. When that movie came out when I was in school, we were using TRS 80s.
That's right.
TRS 80.
And we were doing that thing where you go
80?
10 equals semicolon 173. Yeah, and then if you did colon instead of semicolon when you were programming, you nothing worked, and you're like, "Oh my God!" And you had to go through it all. Was that semicolon? Yeah.
Right.
Was that comma?
I tried to play games on this thing. And I finally gave up because you had to type in commands, and I didn't know my ass from page 10 for that stuff.
You know what your favorite computer code is? C:"pound.
Just real quick, we do have a new sponsor for the network, and I'm very excited about this. Yeah. So Silk City Hot Sauce is now an official sponsor of the Dorkening Podcast Network. And so I'm going to play this. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk about Dragon's Lair and Little Mermaid. Here we go.
Greetings, Spice fans. Silk City Hot Sauce is now sponsoring the Dorkening Podcast Network. Our craft sauces are made in Vermont in small, high-quality batches using locally sourced, farm-grown ingredients. Silk City Hot Sauce comes in a variety of heat strengths and killer flavors like Jezebel, Erotic Fever, Mango Madness, and Good Morning Jonestown. And don't forget our newest creation, Hot Syrup. Make no mistake, Spice fans, this is the queen of sweet heat. There's new and unique flavors coming out all the time. Best of all, right now, listeners of the Dorkening Podcast Network can go to SilkCityHotSauce.com and use coupon code DORK. Not only will you get 20% off your order, we'll also throw in a free bottle of hot sauce. That's SilkCityHotSauce.com. Coupon code DORK.
Leo, that's not necessarily a good thing to show that. We were just talking about Uranus.
You know, well, Charles reminded me he works with Silk City. A lot of those labels you just showed are his art.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm 56, and I admire people like you and John Dystra and Rick Baker and all these other people who pioneered everything and used your hands and your imagination and a coat hanger and some duct tape to figure out how to, but no, because now it's all CGI, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'm a grumpy old man, but somebody goes, hey, did you see such and such a movie? And I go, no, I haven't. And they're like, why not? And I'm like, because I don't want to watch a movie that's 80% CGI. I want to watch something that somebody used their hands to figure out how to do this and stuff. And that's why I gravitate to the movies, back in the day. And, what you guys did with nothing, like we had Jerry Rees on the show who did the special effects for Tron. And it's like, you had to figure out how to make this stuff work.
I know Jerry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
For many years.
I'm sure you must know Daryl Rooney too then.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Daryl and Jerry and I became friends in like 2012 or whatever. We've been pretty good friends ever since. But
very
the
good.
fact that you guys figure out a problem and you're like, okay, I got a sheet, I got a rubber band, I got some twine, and you figure out how to make the effect work. Where now it's, it's all computer, and there's, that takes some talent, but it's pushing some buttons. And after you've done it a couple times, you can it's old hat or whatever. So I admire people like you who had to figure this stuff out.
There's something to be said for the organic quality of doing it by hand, which is precisely why I was such a huge, and still am, a huge fan of Ray Harryhausen.
Yes,
Father of modern special effects. But yes, speaking of Daryl, did you ever see his animated titles, end titles for Harry and the Hendersons? They were just amazing.
I probably have. It's been a while since I've seen that, but yeah, in 2012 I went to the Tron 30th anniversary out in LA and got to meet all those guys, Bill Croyer and Richard Taylor and Harrison Ellenshaw and
Reese.
They're
those
all
people
friends.
What's that?
They're all friends.
Yeah. And I mean, like, to me, meeting people like you and them, that to me is like, I wish I could have met Ray Harryhausen. And I luckily wrote to Rick Baker last year, and he signed some stuff and sent it back, which blew my mind because I've always looked up to him. And the one thing about the 76 King Kong, no one likes it, but he walked around in that monkey suit and he was Kong, and he gets special contributions at the end. It's like he was.
Hey, I like that movie. I like that.
He did a great job with that.
Yeah,
it is what it is, but Rick rose above. So
yeah, and people like you, I think, I stay to the end credits because I'm like, that guy had something to do with this movie.
Oh, yeah.
This guy had something to do with this movie. And the star gets $20 million to come in and do a couple of lines. You guys figure out how all the other stuff works, and you guys really are the movie makers. That's my opinion.
Well, thank you for staying for the credits as well, because most people are on their way to their car by the time they come on. I think that's why Pixar does things like put, clips of film in there with theirs. But Yeah.
KR Tooley says I graduated 1979. Yeah, they were smoking some good stuff back then too.
That's true. That's right.
So speaking of cutting edge, and you know, definitely, you know, opening a new world. Dragon's Lair, and I know Phil wanted to definitely
Dragon's
get into
Lair.
it. Oh my God. I remember when this game came out, and it was just so mesmerizing how, like, I mean, we're used to like Atari, and I don't think even Nintendo was out then, right? It was just these crummy
No
graphics.
Nintendo yet. No.
Then all of a sudden, you have this amazing artwork coming on the screen that you can control, and it was just holy shit for a little kid gaming. That was just mind blowing.
Well, the visuals were very simple back then. They had to be because of the computer programs they had. Very simple, very crude by today's standards. But now, of course, you can move through the scene in real time, and you know, people take that for granted. But at the beginning, we had to be very careful. It was also the first one to be powered by Laserdisc.
That's right.
Yeah, which would get very, very hot. I had one of those top-loading machines, and I pick up the disc, and it would burn my fingers.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's probably off, Charles.
But I'm showing you.
Yeah, this is the miniature that.
Oh, nice.
Their name is blanking out on me right now. But no, it's not. It's not charged.
Oh, it isn't.
But it's actually playable. Or is it? Or is it on?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it might actually start in a minute. Hang on.
How cool is that, guys?
That
I
is
need one of those.
I got mine right here on my cell phone.
It has a miniature.
Is that Arcade 1-Up? Is that the company that made it?
Wow, it has the joystick and everything. That's awesome. There's Daphne.
Oh my God.
It's amazing that.
Yeah, I'm just going to do just one.
See the miniature joystick? Isn't that a riot?
And it even works too. That is crazy.
Come a long way.
Anyway.
There went 50 cents.
That's right.
Well, it's funny because when that game first came out, I was like, wow. And I put my quarter in, hit one player, and then it said game over. I'm like, wow, that was a quick game.
Quarter? That game was 50 cents when it came out. It was. I was so pissed that I was like, you got to spend 50 cents for that game?
Yeah, it was expensive.
It was worth it.
Oh, look at him on the phone here.
Yeah, I got it on my cell phone here.
The arcade owners got smart and they put a extra monitor above the each unit so that people waiting in line to play it could see what was going on, you know, and kind of gear themselves up for what was to come.
Wow.
So what's funny,
Charles said he saw kids playing it backwards.
That was me. I played it backwards.
Yeah, well, he played it backwards. Me, I couldn't play it to save my life. I couldn't save Dirk's either. But
I've won it many times.
We had a free one we could play in the lobby of the studio, and I had enough talent to make the game. I could not play. Yeah.
So what was the process like? And by the way, that was I was wrong. It was not Arcade 1-Up. Arcade 1-Up does have a like a full size one, but that was New Wave Toys, Dragon's Lair Replicade.
What's funny is this phone right here has more computing power in it than that computer game originally had.
Yeah,
that's true.
This is the modern age we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, to try to do that amount of programming with very limited memory is just, I'm assuming it was obviously very difficult. But what was the process of like? I'm assuming like the programmers came to you and said, "Hey, we need so many, screens to go," or what did they do?
Right. Well, it was Rick Dyer's brainchild initially, and he was at a research development company. I believe it was his own, as a matter of fact. It was either Magicom or something like that. I can't remember their name exactly, but he had the idea to make a movie that you could. It's almost like those choose your own adventure books.
Yeah,
right.
Disney made a lot of those as well, where the child could follow along to a certain point, and then they would give you choices, and then you'd have to turn to a page elsewhere in the book to see how it turned out. Well, it was the same kind of thing. So in that way, it's predetermined. It's not like the games they make now, where you actually do have a choice of your own where you want to go. And I imagine you get killed a lot too. But
yeah.
It was his idea to finally use this new technology on Laserdisc, and to create chapter stops and starts and so on. The way they coded the disc, and it was all on one side too, of course.
Wow.
The other side of the disc was just a plain metal plate, and I think part of the reason they did that is so that it wouldn't fly off the spindle. It was very fast.
Yeah, those things.
And but I think that also generated the heat that you felt when you opened the back up. So my first top loading machine, as I said, at home was the same way. In fact, we all bought the discs. He made them available to us, and I took mine home and just watched them straight through. And oh man, that thing was hot when I took it out. But he would sit down with Don Bluth, and Don would, just like he did on Secret of NIMH, he would pretty much storyboard the whole thing. It was real brilliant that way. In fact, Larry Leaker did layouts right off the storyboards that Don would do, so they saved a lot of time. There was no middleman from storyboard to layout person. It was just the two of them working together, and it was phenomenal what they turned out. But Larry did the same duty on all three games, and that's how it worked. And there was an idea that they just were beating, and it just didn't fly. They'd just drop it and move on. So pretty much the way they do it at Disney too.
What was that, Philo?
It's pretty much the way they do a storyboard at Disney too. They actually take a giant corkboard and they do a sequence of drawings with the dialogue pinned underneath, and they'll keep arranging it and cutting it and adding to it until it's perfect, and then, or as perfect as they can make it. And to this day, that's why the stories are so good on those early films. And Pixar does it the very same way. They may do it digitally, but there's still that corkboard in there somewhere.
Now, do you have a bunch of that, like storyboards and stuff from all these things you've worked on still? Have you kept some memories along the way?
Oh, did we lose you, Philo?
I don't know. I think so.
Oh. Not sure if we can hear you.
I said,
yeah.
Did you? I said, have you kept some of the stuff like from different projects you've worked on? Like
yeah, I used to have a lot more when I lived in California.
Phil, did you have any questions about Dragon's Lair before we move on to Disney?
Yeah, sure. Out of all the sequences, again, it was Oh, he's gone. Basically, it's perfect timing because Dungeons and Dragons was real popular at that time too, for the listeners. But with Dungeons and Dragons being a real popular game, it was like because it was brand new and everybody was playing it, and and
Well,
whatnot.
well the role playing game.
Yeah, TSR Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah,
yeah. And so they had a huge fan base for fantasy and all that back then, and it was just a few years after The Hobbit was real popular in the late '60s, and so when this game came with the animation it had, just like Disney, it was incredible, and you get to control the character. And you are saving the princess, just like you would see in Dungeons and Dragons or in any fantasy movie, sword and sandal stuff with Conan or whatever. And so it was a hit. It was huge, And like you said, Leo, it was 50 cents a pop, and that's a lot of money for a video game at the time.
Well, it was also like action, there was actually action happening, and it was just so animated where. Like Dragon's Lair, there was a Dragon's Lair video game for the computer, but it was like really blocky and it was just real slow.
Terrible.
Welcome back, Philo.
Oh, thank you. We had technical difficulties. You all were slowing down like you were on a slow motion film, and then it went black.
Well, you're back now, and the question we had for you was for Dragon's Lair with all its various different monsters and such. What was your favorite one of all the ones that were there?
Oh gosh, that would be hard to decide, but actually, when we got into Space Ace, there were a lot more of them that I found appealing in that one. Plus, we got to do a lot more voices in that game too. We all did voices of the characters. So, Don Bluth has a theater background in addition to animation, and it's part of his family heritage, as it is mine. My parents were in theater too, so he sought out all the people that had anything to do with the drama class or theater in their lives and asked them if they wanted to do voices when they were getting ready to go to the studio, so the sound studio in Burbank. So that's how we got to do that.
You did the Dragon King's voice.
The Lizard King. Yeah, well, turns out I might not be the Lizard King because Dave, oh gosh, I'm blanking out. This is old age. Anyway, David also did the voice, and I honestly can't remember now who it is. It could be me though. But
you did a Lava Man.
Oh, I did a Lava Man. Yeah, I was one of the Lava Men. I was in Space Ace. I was the computer voice that you heard all the time. Things like alert, seal off all exits to level 1, close main gate. Let's see, what else? The Blue Cats. Dave Spafford, thank you. Dave Spafford and I were the Blue Cats. We did that together, and the little triangular guys in Space Ace. But we all did Rats voices in Secret of NIMH also. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned your family also did animation. So you're a second generation Disney animator, is that correct?
Yes, I'm a second generation. Better than being second rate, I guess. Yeah. My mother started at Disney first in 1942, and then my father joined the studio in 1944. He was serving, of course, in World War II. He was teaching people to use anti-aircraft gun and coast artillery in Chile, where he was stationed. But he was also prone to sleepwalking, so they sent him home with an honorable discharge, and he was furious because everyone wanted to serve, of course, in those days. So a little bit different time from now. The chips were really down then. So he stewed about it for a few years, and then his friend John Freeman got a job there as an animator. And he called him in Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and he says, Dale, you really should come out here on the train and apply with Walt and see what happens. And they hired him like immediately. He had a very impressive portfolio. So my mother left to start raising our family in 1946 or so. So her last project was Song of the South. But they were married in 44, the same year they met, actually. He didn't waste any time back then because he didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring, I think. But so Dad remained until around 1969 or 70. Yeah, this last film was The Aristocats.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and they did hire him back to do some key cleanup work on Bedknobs and Broomsticks after that also.
Wow.
All the animated undersea stuff that they did. And I remember watching him work on that at home. Because of the intrinsic value, of course, of animation, Disney had its own peg assignment at the bottom of the animation disc that was exclusively theirs, so that you could not take the work home and do it correctly because the pegs were closer together than the standard Acme pegs that we all use in the rest of the business. So pegs are a little farther apart. So they finally went Acme around that time, and then everyone was able to work at home. They relaxed a bit. So that was great. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten their films finished. They had to let people work at home. Now they let entire studios help them finish a film. So they subcontract out to a lot of places. Even with the digital stuff now, they do that.
Yeah, I hear, like Pixar was talking about, I think it was Pixar, with the pandemic, everybody's working from home. So, a lot of people ended up getting computers shipped to their home, the render stations and whatnot to
right.
Ben's saying to ask Philo about his acting career. And I just want to say before we ask that, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, I absolutely adored that movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, it certainly was unique. The idea of it being set during one of our real wars, and then the fantasy element of Angela Lansbury's character bringing all those suits of armor and things from throughout history. I really loved that when I was a kid.
So talk about your acting career, Philo.
Oh, well, that in a roundabout way, that started when I was about 6 or 7, and I was going to be the voice of Christopher Robin in the first Winnie the Pooh that the studio did, and I believe that was the Honey Tree. And I practiced with my father every night, starting in 1962, and it was, he would record me on a woolen sock reel-to-reel tape recorder that we had. We had that thing for years. I ended up inheriting it and using it when I was in high school.
Nice.
But great machine. And he filled a tape with me practicing my British accent, and I was getting it pretty good. And I made it to runner-ups out of 150 little boys. I was runner-up to Bruce Reitherman, the director's son, who ultimately got the part. So.
Yeah, I wonder why.
You know how kids are.
Yeah, right.
Nepotism. Yeah. But Walt Disney himself knew that I was probably crushed. He was kind of hoping I would get it too, I think. He was a wonderful man. I loved him. But he asked my father if we might want to be extras instead in Let's Go Fly a Kite, which my dad was storyboarding for Mary Poppins. So there we are in our little Edwardian costumes flying a kite, and we're in a couple of shots in the same exact spot both times. When they go up the street. So I have a...
We might have lost him again.
He's frozen.
It's the little gremlins.
Can you all still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. All standing there still.
Yeah, we can hear you. Oh, it froze up.
Yeah, but as we wait for him to come back, that's amazing that he actually met Walt Disney, the man himself, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Funny,
It
I'm
must have
wearing
been a
my.
small company back then when
Wow,
you know,
really bad
parents spoke to
signal around
parents.
here.
Oh, I think we got him back.
Yes. I'm the
Hello.
technical support. Yeah, thank goodness.
Thank you for that.
By the way, Philo's working on
That's appropriate that I'm wearing my Bert for Mary Poppins hat tonight.
There you go, Artie.
Yeah. Well, from there, didn't do much of anything, just drama in school. You know, stage work, stagecraft, a lot of that. Didn't so much appear in the shows. I was backstage or building the sets and so on. In fact, building them with my father semi-professionally when he was working with the Melrose Theater Association in Los Angeles. He designed 40 productions for them in 17 years. Can you believe it? That was a lot of work.
Sure was.
All the set designs that he did. And he won the Theater Critics Award in 1970 for that. But digressing, when I got to Bluth's, then he put us to work doing, you know, extra voices, all the rats, the extra rats and so on. In 2004, I got to be in a low budget movie. It just kind of accidentally fell in my lap. They lost the actor that was going to play the lawyer to my friend's character, and it's a film called Charlie's Death Wish, and starring Ron Jeremy. Believe it or not, mainstream role. He played a police detective. He was very funny, but he's a pretty good serious actor too. And I found that out by working with him that night. They kept saying I was getting made up and getting my suit on and everything, getting ready to go out on location, and they said, "Ron's ready for you now, Philo, anytime." I said, "Ron who?" So when I realized it was going to be Ron Jeremy, I almost fell over.
Don't touch me there.
Oh no.
No, he was on his best behavior. He was very funny. He was making me laugh between takes, and I was still laughing when the director said action. So he got a little peeved with me that night.
When you popped away, Philip was talking about, you know, growing up knowing Walt Disney. That must have been a trip.
Yeah, well, I remember him as a child would, of course. I was just in awe of him to the point where I could barely speak. But yeah, I remember him clearly. Yeah, he wasn't nearly the scary person that some people imagine him to be.
I think the list of people who met Walt are getting smaller and smaller nowadays.
Yeah, it is. It's very true. But
I mean, and I want to know what this whole Kurt Russell's name on a piece of paper is all about. We may never know.
I'm not sure what that story is, but I can tell you he was a man with vision, and those people, not unlike Don Bluth, they know what they want. So if you mess up, they're going to let you know.
Yeah.
So I think he got a bad rap for that by a lot of people who misunderstood him, but he was just interested in getting the best quality out of every film that he could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's one thing, Disney was always known for quality, you know, it's just,
right.
Yeah. And I mean, look,
films you could safely take your entire family to as well.
Yeah. And live up to today, you know, it's just timeless.
Yes. What do you think if he were around, he would think of what Disney has become now? Do you think he'd be...
Well, I don't think it would have been allowed. I think there would have been a reasonable amount of the new stuff, but he would have kept the hand-drawn animators. He wouldn't have made a lot of the changes they've made at the theme parks either.
Yeah.
So
I,
that's more of a cash grab than aesthetic. So
yeah, I hear a lot of people talk about this used to be, Adventureland or whatever. This used to be this. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean used to be? And they're like, oh yeah, they took that all out. And I'm like, so that means I could never go to Disneyland and see what it was like in the 50s because they've taken a bunch of stuff out, which to me, I'm like, why would you do that? So yeah.
Well, also, it's been priced out at a range of, before I remember growing up, we weren't well off, but, we were able to go to Disney World, just like once. But nowadays, the price, people not making so much, just they're priced out of it,
Yeah.
It's just insane. And I hear they raised the price because it was getting too busy.
Well, they started this new, forgive me, asinine thing called Genie, where you have to pay extra to get on the rides faster now.
Yeah,
there's no more fast pass. And I thought, which ass thought of that idea? But that's a clear cash grab.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, every Sunday night watching The Wonderful World of Disney, and and all the cool stuff that they had on, and it just, I was just wondering what you would think that Walt would think, and that was a great answer. I mean, he did. But what stinks is, like, I collect a bunch of different things, and someday I'll die, and those things were important to me, but they might not be important to my kids. So they might just throw this stuff out. And then the unfortunate thing is, Walt's not here to say this is how it has to be. They're like, you don't run it anymore. You're no longer here. We're in charge, and we're going to make these decisions based on what we want to do. And unfortunately, his vision doesn't matter anymore to these people who are in charge.
Gee, it sounds a little like our country right now, doesn't
it? True. If you listen years ago, if you're a soldier, you will die. That's because the bastard does lie. Bastard biting the clown at cabal.
We're going to get in real trouble now.
Oh my God.
Well, I think, Disney is, I think that I know there was definitely a lull in animation for a while, and then they bought out Pixar. As they buy out different companies, it seems like they're making smart moves where they're keeping the people with vision and artistic ability in control. Like, you look at what they're doing with Marvel, as opposed to like DC. DC is screwing up because it's, a lot of the suits sticking their hands in it. Or Marvel, they just found people that love this stuff and say, here, go play with the toys. Same thing with Star Wars. It's I know it's a huge conglomerate, but it's they're definitely bringing vision to life.
Right. Well, you have to have experiment time.
Yeah.
You're running any kind of creative business. You've got to have some time for developing these things. And if it means taking it slow, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking it slow, I'm finally getting back on the comic book for Charles, Whispers from the Void.
Awesome. I was going to ask about that.
Years of sitting on it. So I have the whole book roughed out. I just have to complete it now. So Whispers from the Void is about 4 ladies that call themselves Team Monster. And they call themselves that because you might consider them monsters. The head of the group, the mother character, if you will, is Idonia, and she's considered a mad scientist. Ruth is her creation. She is a flesh construct. And she's got the heart of a child, literally. Her stillborn daughter received her heart at the time she was making her. And she's like a female Frankenstein's creature. So she's very gentle and sweet and kind until you cross her up, and then she goes into killer mode, a ruthless killer mode. And the other gal is she's like a paid assassin, or an assassin for kicks, and her name is Callie. There you can see them. Callie's the one on the side there in the black. And she is a self-made vampire, meaning that she chose to be one. So she made a deal. Yeah, so she is she's the snarky one of the group. She's the wise ass. And she's constantly teasing Blythe, the little ghost girl that you see in their front there. She died at the age of 18 after having just been married, and she was poisoned on her wedding night, and there she is still. So she struck up a friendship with Callie in the graveyard. They call themselves crypt mates, and Callie is always calling her Blight because Blythe has this ability to drain people of their life if she's around them for more than how long, Charles? More than 10 minutes. Yeah, they start to lose their life force, and she can't stand that. That happens, but there's nothing she can do to stop it. So, also in this universe, all the characters are represented by the 7 deadly sins. So maybe you could explain, Charles.
Yeah, all monsters are reflections of the 7 deadly sins. So you have the mad scientist, Pride, who is able to control envy, the ghost, gluttony, the vampire, wrath, the flesh construct. And the mad scientist has a hypothesis: what if we can do good but through our aberrant means? Then are we truly evil? So, of course, Pride would think of something like that. And they go around doing their horrific stuff, but they ain't good.
Right, they're battling other evil creatures. Yeah. There's going to be an alien girl in one of the future episodes too.
Sloth.
Yeah, Sloth.
Very cool. Now, you're working on book 2, is that correct?
Yes, I'm on book 2. Have been for some time. Book 1 was done by Robert Moran. He's an artist out of Scotland, and he did a film noir version of the characters in the first issue, and it's really beautiful to look at.
That's been recolored by Al Josa, and that one will be reprinted in the new form when issue 2 is done.
Right, they actually took my suggestions for the color on issue 2, and they put them into 1. Isn't that right? So I'm proud of that.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And how did you guys all get involved in that? Is it who wrote it? And came up with that out there.
Charles created it, and there were 3 or 4 ladies.
Yeah, and I thought it might be interesting to get some romance writers to write it.
Romance novelists. Romance novelists doing horror. Yeah. It's not unlike really Dark Shadows, the TV show, which was, melodrama.
Okay.
Yeah. Sadly, this is real life. One's died. Yeah. Yeah. So we're losing them quick.
So we hope to get this issue done.
Yeah.
And Philo can be like, I did a comic book.
We still have Cheryl Bodine. She's the leader of the group.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah, she's quite beautiful and talented. But we really wanted this to be the female perspective all the way through.
No, these women are just brutal monsters.
Oh my.
Well, we do have information in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. You can learn more about that. I know we are running about on time. I want to make sure everybody got their questions in. RW, Philip, did you guys have any other questions you'd like to ask? What was that?
I have a question. Where can when people get that comic book? Actually, I mean, I know Leo, you have the up and down below, but I can't see it. I'm on the show.
Well, are we planning to do a Kickstarter for it? I think fairly soon we'll do a Kickstarter. Yeah, and we'll let everybody know. And we can let Leo know or whoever. Yeah, we'll stay in touch. And when we get ready to post it and get rolling, we'll let everyone know. Yeah.
Now, what about the first book? I think it's on Amazon, right?
It's not a print.
Well, at the moment it's out of print, but
we'll find that.
Like Charles said, it's been recolored, so it's going to come out again.
When issue 2's done.
When issue 2's done, he wants to offer them together. So.
Yeah, that would be best. Absolutely, because we want to catch up on the first one. That's for sure.
You'll see a big difference between the styles because, as I said, Roberts is like an old 1940s movie, which is really cool with the shadows and very film noir. And then mine is Disney-fied. Like you take the princesses and mix them with monsters, and that's what you get. Nice.
Yeah, the most scary scene in a later issue is there's a pie in the room.
Oh no, that's not in this book. No, but we're dreaming up a killer pie. It gets possessed by something. Yeah.
Eats things and Rose gets terrified, like, oh my God, run! Why? There's a pie in the room.
Don't go in there. There's a pie in there.
Now,
and then you open up and this thing is like,
yeah. Oh, it's quite hideous.
Now, when work as an animator, like you're like in a slow period, have you ever thought of doing phlebotomy? Because I bet you'd be good at drawing blood.
Ah, very good. I like that. I did. I literally drew blood cells. Yeah, for a fundraiser. Yeah.
I laid out the blood cells for the first one, and then followed through Ariel looking very confused, like, these aren't sea creatures.
Yeah. Well, we subsequently lost that version, and I had to draw them over again. So I made them a little simpler, but it sold, I guess, for a good sum, and that was great because it was to fundraise for leukemia research.
About $5,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
so
great.
It's funny you say that. I also did some phlebotomy drawings for Charles' training films when he was doing those for medical professionals and also law enforcement professionals.
I made comic books for the government.
Yeah, they were like film strips or videos, and they would use our artwork to tell the story, and you'd have to give the proper answer or say if this is false or if this is true, and that's how they learned. So I thought that was pretty cool.
See, Leo, I'm making a really bad joke. I said you should become a phlebotomist and then you could draw blood, and he actually drew blood. So look at that.
It turned out to be true. And Charles just gave blood, didn't you?
A couple things we didn't mention, and I wanted to make sure we definitely brought them up because they're I mean, everything has been incredible so far, but like Smurfs.
Yes.
We've worked on 50 episodes of the Smurfs. Like,
the little blue bastard.
So what was your favorite aspect of that to work on?
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, we used the same formula for drawing them that is used on Mickey Mouse, using all circles and teardrop bodies and rubber hose legs and big white gloves, simple feet. And the only thing that was that much different was their snout and their head arrangement. Mickey's got those sideways ears on his head, and the Smurfs have that big floppy hat. For the most part, I really loved working on them. Some days they could be a challenge. Designing a new Smurf for each episode was tough because Iwo Takamoto would have us do them over and over and over again until we were ready to scream. He was the head of the entire department, the design department. But Bob Singer, my immediate boss, he did a lot to smooth that over. So for the most part, it was a lot of fun. Bob trusted me with the props for the characters too. So that's most of what I did was props for them to use in the show. But I did a lot of character work as well. But I was also a little disturbed early on. Thank you. Because I was worried about Smurfette. She was the only female in the group, and I was always a little mildly concerned about that. If she had gender assignment surgery. Yeah.
Smurfette. The simpler times, huh?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Smurfette and Strawberry Shortcake getting into a porno film to be Strawberry Short Cheesecake?
Oh my. Oh my. But the second year I was at Hanna-Barbera, I got to design with this large crew. Well, it wasn't that large. Godzilla.
Up from the
1978.
30 stories high. Suns in the sky. Godzilla, 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 Godzilla.
Godzuki.
All the time. Yeah, Godzuki.
Philip, did you watch the Godzilla cartoon when you were a kid?
I watched it a little bit. I don't think I ever was around when it was playing though, so I didn't get to see it as often as some of the other big shows back in those days.
Right.
Yeah, RWI, I know you watched.
You probably
I'm sure
seen
I
one
did.
of them.
I mean, I don't remember it all that well. Yeah, I watched all that stuff. Smurfs, and then the Snorks came on, and then Thunder the Barbarian, and all that stuff. But yeah, I think I remember the Godzilla. Might have even been like the Godzilla Hour or something. I don't remember, but yeah.
Well, you've probably seen my mother's old show too, Star Trek: The Animated Series.
Oh, are you serious? Your mom worked on that?
Yeah, she was an
I loved Filmation. I think Filmation was one of the best animated cartoon networks out there. They did Tarzan, they did Star Trek, they did the Planet of the Apes. I absolutely love Filmation.
He-Man, yeah,
He-Man. But yeah, I loved the Star Trek the Animated Series. I just thought it was weird that they didn't have enough money to pay Walter Koenig, so they got the alien guy instead. It's like everybody else is there but Walter Koenig. It's like
right. A lot of people don't even notice, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, but yeah, I have those on DVD somewhere. But yeah, I love that stuff. That's awesome that your mom worked on that, because I absolutely love.
You'll see some familiar names in the end credits too. You'll see Don Bluth's name, Jeff Fetter's name, and Lorna Pomeroy's name. They were all at Filmation before they made it to Disney.
Yeah, my friend, if he was watching right now, his name is John, but him and I swear by Filmation. Like everything Filmation did was awesome, and I loved their soundtrack. In the background and stuff. It was like, it added to the mood of what was going on, and I don't know. I have nothing but good things to say about the Filmation Corporation.
Yeah,
right. Well, they gave me a break. In '84, we had a last train out party at Hanna-Barbera, and I went right into Filmation from there. And after I did, after I did Black Cauldron, then I headed over to Filmation. I was only on Black Cauldron for 9 months, but that's a good long time. But we all headed over to Filmation. They had a massive layoff at Disney, and we all went over there. And made 2 feature films for them, and then Mermaid followed right after that, when they closed their doors forever.
Yeah. Now, Filmation did 1 or 2 kind of.
They were
live
actually
action.
a great place to work.
Filmation did a couple live action ones too, right? Didn't they do like Jason of Star Command or something else? Didn't they? I don't know if it was Jason of Star Command.
Yeah. Right. Hanna-Barbera did a few live shows too. The B.B. Beagle show, of course. The la 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 la.
Banana Splits.
The Banana Splits,
right.
and then
Yeah.
Then they did Adventures of Tom Sawyer, where they had Ted Cassidy playing Injun Joe, and he was the recurring villain character. He was always a different guy, but he was still Injun Joe with the scar on his face and everything. So
Somebody
they had
just wrote Ice Shoot Shazam, Space Academy, Jason of Star Command. Was that all
Jason of Star
Filmation?
Command. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jason of Star Command. A lot of people don't remember James Doohan.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dr. Smith was in it too, I think.
Yes.
But as
Sid
a,
Haig,
but
yeah.
not as a lead.
Jonathan Harris.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a tough guy, Jonathan Harris.
Sid Haig, I believe, was in there.
Well, the one really cool anecdote is that my mother met Don Bluth at Filmation when they were making Star Trek, and he remembered her years later, and so he mentioned it to me, and he says, "Is your mom still painting cells?" And I said, "Oh, you know my mom?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "You should go talk to Olga Craig in Ink and Paint here at our studio," and I said, "I think she knows Olga," and sure enough, we were all family friends. So Olga and Fred Craig, and so they put her to work painting cells at home on Secret of NIMH, and she got a credit along with me. I think that's our only credit together on a film is NIMH. I think she also got a credit on American Pole. Yeah.
Very cool.
That is awesome.
I know we ran a little late, so I'll wrap things up here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this fine evening with our amazing guests. What was that?
Something about tacos. Something about tacos.
We're gonna go eat
Something about tacos.
I missed it.
It reminds me of the dude from the Muppet Show up there in the balcony.
Yeah, that's Charles.
What are you talking about? Boy, their asses fall off again. Boy, what a bunch of donkeys. No donkeys, Democrats.
Okay, they have to get off there.
Yeah, all they have to do is just reach around each other and they can get themselves on them.
Oh, please, Charles. Take him anywhere.
Oh, geez. This has been an absolute blast. I want to urge you definitely check the show notes. Check out, the art of Philo Barnhart. Awesome dude, as you can see here. And Charles D Moisant. We have all the information for these two fine gentlemen in the show notes. Philo, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
I can be found on Facebook under Philo Barnhart Art. And if you want to check out, I could speak English before. I don't know what's happening now. If you want to check out our collective site, that is silverphoenix.net. And,
I got to rebuild the site. I'm lazy.
well, he's in the process of rebuilding, but we will be back up again soon. But you need the net to catch the bird, as Charles says. So that's silverphoenix.net.
Awesome. And Hardy Girl 66, just so you know, we have these saved, so you can just go back and rewatch it. We had a lot of fun earlier in the show. RW.
You put me on the spot. No, I'm just kidding. You can follow me here. All my links to all my social media are at the very bottom of the page. There's also a link to my book, which I don't have with me today because I forgot it, but it's Life Inside My Head, Living with ADHD, Ramblings by R.W. Martin. Please pick up a copy of the book. I'm going on a cruise in February. I need some extra money. Anyways, thank you guys for having me. It is a pleasure having you, Philo.
Philip.
Yes, folks can find me at darkdiscussions.com, and then they also can go to Dark Discussions podcast on Facebook, and I'm also on Facebook under my own name is Philip Perrin. So,
Okay, and for me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But more importantly, I want you to follow these awesome people. And for me, I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have a ton of shows on the network. Again, a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff, including Philo. And Philo is going to be, you're going to be at Neutral Zone Con. You're also going to be at Chattanooga Con or Chattacon.
And Gary's showing March.
And our friend Gary
Very
in March.
cool.
Northeast
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
And there's some awesome adventure we're going to do in August.
Northeast Comic-Con?
Yeah, Northeast
Yes.
Comic-Con.
Harry Summers.
Yeah, where's that? Was that
No,
located?
what in August? It's an evil comic.
That's the one in Boxborough, right? Boxborough, Massachusetts.
Foxborough. Wait, are you talking about
Yeah,
August?
that's right. All right, I'll see you there in August for sure. I was there the last one they just had.
Foxborough.
Yeah, make sure
No,
you stop
August
on
is
by.
a different show.
Yeah, we'll be in
I'll be there.
Foxborough
I'll
in
be
March.
Yeah, the one in August
Oh,
is really
March.
cool. It's done by this cool guy at the horror show.
All right, I'll see you in March, and I'll wear this shirt too.
Awesome. With that, we'll catch you guys.
And don't forget to follow likes to reach around.
Oh,
Oh
he's
my
being
gosh.
naughty
What?
again.
Back to the Uranus.
Yeah.
Yeah.